Sorry about that. Anyway, but just doing the best I can, right? And I scarcely know where to begin, but love is always a safe place. This little life of ours rests between a longing to be loved and a calling to show love. These two stunning possibilities, so tender, so fugitive, are the subject of these pages. I must admit, however, that this is mostly a book of guesses. As many as any book on love must be, my guess is that loving is what we are here for. That love is what every one of us deserves to receive and is here to give. That love alone makes this earth the heaven it was meant to be. The guess turns into a conundrum when we realize that so many of us prefer the signs that point to heaven over heaven itself. We yearn for and talk about the love we want. We lament the love we have been deprived of. Yet we sometimes fail to take the steps that can help it happen for us. The puzzle becomes even more confounding when we sometimes prefer the hell of no love at all, which we bring on by our own unskillful choices or by or by our endurance of abuse or betrayal, especially from those who say they love us. This book proposes that love is real when we dare to become as loving as we can be toward ourselves and others, and as careful as we can be not to confuse as we can be not to confuse a history with someone or a connection that does not work for us with true love. Biology shows us that the universe is a vast web of interdependence from the cellular to the planetary level. Nothing exists by itself. There is no being in itself, only being in relation to. So to be is to be connected. Thus, relatedness or connection is the essence of our and of all being. Reality is relatedness. John Muir must have grasped this mystical fact when he wrote, when we try to pick out anything by itself, we find it hitched to everything else in the universe. Muir's comment applies both to nature, since ecology is about the interconnected of all things in the universe, and human psychology, which is also about connectedness. Our present behavior is connected to what happened to us in childhood. Indeed, our whole life is a tapestry of relationships. We are connected to our past, hitched to everyone we know, and even to those we don't know. For us humans, to be is to connect, and to cease connecting is not to be. Life began because of a connection between our parents. We survived through an umbilical cord that connected us to our mother. We thrived thanks to connections with our caretakers. We are still here because of our ongoing connections to the natural world and the people in it. In fact, connectedness is the essence of emotional well being. Healthy development proceeds most successfully and joyously when we have had a safe, secure, enduring experience of at least one person caring about us. Because of that original connectedness, we know ever after how to love and hold others as we were loved and held. We also know that we also know how to love and hold ourselves so that we can cope with whatever happens to us rather than being stymied by it. Tama ba? Stymied? Stymied. Yeah. Ayun. Love is a specific kind of connection. It is a caring connection. The word caring is from the Latin word for dear. We care about someone who is dear to us. Dear also means costly. Love requires a selflessness that is challenging and taxing at times. When we care about someone, he or she really matters to us. Caring includes noticing, taking an interest in, and responding to the specific needs of others. It includes a genuine connection for what happens to someone and a hope for positive outcomes. Love happens between us and others when we welcome connection from them and make connections to them. To decide if an act is loving, we can ask, does it serve to connect us in a caring way? We learned in grammar school to convert fractions by finding the lowest common denominator. Caring connection is our lowest and finest common denominator of love in this world of so many unconverted fractions. Here is a central point of this: giving and receiving love can become our primary life focus. Focusing on this combination is a way to become fully human, to fulfill ourselves psychologically. If love comes our way, it is welcome and enriching. But in spiritual practice, our focus is on giving love rather than finding someone from whom to receive it. We feel fulfilled spiritually when we show all the love we have, no matter how others respond or act toward us. This is a radical alternative to showing love in order to receive it in return or showing it only to those who love us. We will probably fail at this spiritual style of love almost every day. But as long as we maintain a pure intention to be as loving as we can be and keep putting honest effort into it, we are already on the path to spiritual awakening. Truly enlightened living is knowing that love is all we ever want and making it all we ever give. Loving becomes easier when we open to it as our inner psychological and spiritual code, the equivalent of a genetic code. A code dictates how we fulfill ourselves as individuals and how we make our contribution to the world of others. It provides us with a blueprint. The code of love tells the whole story of what it means to be human and what the world we inhabit means by its very existence. Love is the point of it all. What we can be is the same as what love can be: endless in duration, infinite in extent. Yes, we humans have that much time in our story, that much space in our hearts, as limitless as outer space. The love in us arises from an innate goodness beyond causes, conditions, predicaments, or stories. It is inherently and ineradicably within us, whether or not we feel its presence. At times, our inner goodness may evade us utterly or seem absent or lost. Indeed, aggression is evident in us from our earliest days. It too is in it. The good news is that we can believe in the enduring reality and primacy of our capacity for goodness, no matter what we may have done or how we may have lived until now. We may have learned, we may have to learn to show love, but the fact that the learning comes easily seems to point to love being a natural part of us. Love sits mindfully and immovably to all of us, in us, all our lives, waiting for us to unveil it. What keeps us from seeing our inherent goodness, from believing that we are good people? Our self worth may have been wounded since childhood by pummeling criticism and the imposition of inhibitions. We take back the sense of our own value when we dispel our inherited false beliefs about ourselves. This is why we work on our past. By doing that work, we can find tools that help us open the treasure chest of love inside us. In fact, all the psychological tools we have gathered from the self-help movement in recent years were for this: to become lovers who stand expectantly at every door, flowers in hand. As we look back on our lives and all we have learned until this moment, we may delightedly realize it was all a transmission of teachings about loving without limit or restraint. What if all that happens to us is exactly what schools us in how to evolve in love in the course of life? That is the very definition of synchronicity, meaningful coincidence. Just the right events and people come along to allow us to articulate the love we are inside. All of them are emissaries of some nuance of light We need to let the full colors of our love appear in all their incandescence. We learn to activate our potential for showing love in the same way we learn to use language, by imitating others and making our own efforts to expand our vocabulary. Our capacity to talk was not based on how our parents treated us, but our ease in using words may have been stunted if they ridiculed or silenced us. It is the same with love. Our capacity to love endures, though it may have been damaged by how we were treated. But just as we can learn to speak well at any time of life, we can always learn to let our love come through fully and volubly. We can refresh our capacity to love if it has been injured, animated, if it has been dulled, or if it has fallen by the wayside. Learning to do this is psychological work and spiritual practice at its best. In fact, it is the very reason we have a psyche, a body, a spirituality, a lifetime. When we understand that love is native to us, we presume that there must be some help for expressing it. One reliable and powerful ally is our instinctive inner urge to fulfill ourselves. We do not have to rely solely on our own effort. We can trust that something inside us is helping us all along. We have an instinctive need to love without reserve. That need is the archetypal assisting force, the reliable confederate, the unexpected resource, our own inner self, the interior beloved that the mystics refer to. It is up to us in any given moment to act in accord with that inviolable and steadfast energy. Two clues can help us believe in our inner goodness. First, we can sense intuitively what the loving choice is in any situation. Second, we can become aware that everything that happens to us presents us with an opportunity to love more or better. This is because everything that happens is an evolutionary driver, a push toward more consciousness and more connection, the fruition of which is love. The way we were first loved and the ways we have been loved ever since, from our definition of what love means to us. Some people really feel loved when someone gives them a gift. Others experience it when people stand up for them. Still others feel loved when someone goes the extra mile to help them. If our mother showed love by holding us in our pain or joy, without engulfing or controlling us, that will be the behavior that always feels like love to us. We feel love now as we first received it. We give love the way others gave it to us. Thus, since love is unique to each person, we read and write love, receive and give it in the style designed by our past experience. Yet, like good handwriting, our unique signature can be read by others. At the same time, we have the option of expanding our definition of love. All our relationships give us the opportunity to open ourselves to ever new forms of sincere love from others toward us and from us toward them. This is how intimacy challenges us to take a chance. In the Christian tradition, the Magi came to welcome the newborn Jesus with precious gifts. We can trust that many angels and Buddhas showed up at our cradle to celebrate the thrilling and meaningful moment of our birth, the arrival of a new version of love. The gifts they brought us were not gold, frankincense, and myrrh. They blessed us with a capacity to love and to be loved limitlessly, an ability to show and receive love ingenuously, a desire to open to it endlessly. Once we understand that love is our true identity, we realize that the skill of learning to love is mostly an undoing of the ego obstructions that have gradually overlaid our natural tendency toward loving. This means letting go of our ego entitlements and inflations. We then look for all the practices that can help that happen, especially those that release us from the grip of the main opponents to our happiness, our self centeredness and aggression. The moment we loosen that grip will be the same moment that fear takes flight, and all that is left of us is whatever can still lovingly open. Being an adult in love means being adult about love and loving. Psychological adulthood. Maturity is letting love in carefully and showing it responsibly. Spiritual adulthood consists of expanding our love so that it is unbounded, a practice requiring recklessness. Since love sits in us someplace between trust and fear, a commitment to love requires both daring to trust and disregarding our fear, both risks we are willing to take when we love someone. Loving is often scary. This is why we have to become reckless in practicing it. Recklessness is defined as a letting go of concern about dangerous consequences to ourselves. We become reckless when we are so firm and focused in our intention that we are no longer held back by a fear of what seems threatening. This helps us give love unconditionally. There is no such thing as conditional love. That is not love, only giving approval when the other is pleasing to us. At times, we are selective about showing the love that is in us. And here we see a contradiction in ourselves. We have no trouble committing to honesty toward everyone, unconditionally and unilaterally, no matter how dishonest others may choose to be. But we think of love as having to be meted out rarely and promised only to be very special people in our lives. We believe everyone is deserving of honesty, but we imagine that only certain people deserve our love. Would we be able to sustain the same commitment if we substituted love for honesty? It would sound like this. We have no trouble committing to being loving toward everyone, unconditionally and unilaterally, no matter how unloving others may choose to be. It is, of course, true that discrimination in trusting others is necessary if we are to have quality relationships. Selectivity is important for our safety and security because it means trusting only those who have proven their dependability. Thus, this makes sense, but only in how we love, not that we love. Thus, our ways of showing love differ according to the commitment we have to various individuals in our lives. But our scope of love does not have to set or be set by limitations. We can be careful about our boundaries when others come close, but free of boundaries in how far our love extends. There are boundaries in the topography of love, but no barriers. As an example, we can love our alcoholic spouse, but as long as he is abusive and refuses to seek help, we cannot live with him. Our love of ourselves does not permit placing our and our children's safety, health, and happiness in jeopardy. Our tough love for our partner does not permit us to enable him to go on destroying himself and others. So our love can remain as strong as ever, but our way of showing it changes. It might no longer include sharing the same bed, but it would include supporting him in his recovery once he is ready for it. We have boundaries, but have erected no barrier because we remain open to full reconnection and his full recovery. We show our love based entirely on what has to matter: safety, security, health, and happiness for us and for those committed to our care. Yet we go on loving no matter what. In a world in which we are scared of reckless loving, only those who please us or seem worthy deserve our love. In a world in which we're ready to be awakened, everyone deserves love because it is not based on merit, good deeds, or willingness to reciprocate, only on being alive. That kind of limitless love is what we mean when we talk about the fulfillment of our human mission, the maximum use of our human legacy, the full achievement of our life purpose. Our love response is usually based on personal appeal. However, we can come to believe that the less lovable someone is, the more she needs and deserves love. We can learn to see lovability in everyone. Lovability is not earned. Our practice becomes welcoming everyone in our ever expanding style of caring connection. This, too, is a subversive act since we are overturning the usual sequence. This, too, is a subversive act since yeah, we usually move toward those who are attractive and lovable, and away from those who, in our opinion, are unattractive and unlovable. It is counterintuitive to love simply because of other people's existence rather than because of their winsomeness. But true love makes everyone irresistible. To commit ourselves to loving everyone is certainly a subversive act because it is an act of unconditional and egalitarian connection. It is up and running regardless of the qualities or the deeds of others. This is the love that honors diversity and excludes no one from its wide embrace. It is the love that honors every form of emotional apathy, alienation, rank, and division. It is the love that can be unilateral if necessary. It is not based on likability or how others act toward us, but on who we are. This challenge is expressed strikingly by Lex Hickson in his book Mother of the Buddhist. Ang dami naman eto. Okay, introduction pa lang yun. Okay, what is love? What is love? You are as prone to love as the sun is to shine, it being the most delightful and natural employment of the soul. Love is to be Love is too elusive and individualized to permit a definition. However, we can ask, what can love be? This is not a definition, but a request for an ever renewed invitation. Something that we can keep daring to enter, like Alice persevering in her adventures in Wonderland. Grabe, guys. It has been 20 minutes already, and I need to rest my voice because ito lang ang puhunan natin. Yeah, so thank you for staying with me and see you in the next live. Bye.